Hello, hello, Pats Nation. This is Pump the Brakes. I'm Michael. This is Dave. Dave, how you doing?
I'm dressed for a business trip, Michael. We said last week we beat the Texans. We're hopefully going on the road to Denver. That's what we're doing. Got to take care of business, and a trip to the Super Bowl is on the other end.
A trip to the what?
To the
To the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl? The Super Bowl? I'm
Yes,
sorry, this Patriots team is talking about a trip to the Super Bowl?
indeed. And it's going to be a tough one. I want to kind of set the tone early. We'll touch on the specifics of Denver, but at least as far as I'm concerned, this is a tough game. Like I don't love this notion that this game is over before it started because Bo
Oh,
Nix got
crazy.
hurt, or that, the AFC Championship game was last week, or, they don't have a chance in this game. You are playing, it's going to be a tough game in a tough environment on the road against a good coach, a stingy defense, and a good offensive line. And so this idea that the game is over before it starts, frankly, I think is disrespectful to the Broncos and the team that they've built, and also disrespectful to the game of football in a way, because
Yeah.
it's kind of asinine to just assume that a team has no chance just because they lost their quarterback.
Well, let me put it a little differently. I've spent this entire year disrespecting Bo Nix. So for me, to say that for me nothing's changed. If anything, I'm more scared of Jared Stidham.
And I would say, like, if you're a Patriots fan who lived through that 2017 Super Bowl run where they lost to the Eagles in Super Bowl 52, it would be completely asinine for you to think when those final four quarterbacks that year were Brady, Bortles, Keenum, and Foles, to think that just because a team doesn't have a quarterback, you're going to waltz through the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. So just off the bat, I wanted to set the tone. This is going to be
No,
a tough game, and we're going to break it down. You can lose this game. You can't afford to lose this game, but you can lose this game.
this game has always been us against Sean Payton and that defense.
Great.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
The only
Now,
thing that's changed is their ability. There is a finer margin for error for them, and we'll get into what's changed a little bit
yeah,
about the team
but
specifically.
first, we should talk about why I'm wearing a Patriots jersey, why I'm so excited. Let's talk about not even this guy. It wasn't just this guy. I mean, he made 3 amazing throws in that game, but we beat the motherfucking Houston Texans.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
did it.
we did. It was a tough matchup. Obviously, we
We
talked
did
about.
it.
Yes, you love the we, I love the you, but you did it. It was always going to be an incredibly tough matchup against that defense. I guess we can start off by sort of breaking down how the offense performed in that game, if we must. We'll start with the quarterback as we always do. As you
The
said,
show's called Pump the Brakes. Let's pump the brakes,
yeah,
then we'll talk about the
we'll
defense.
pump the brakes by talking about this offense. And I think the big thing that stands out with Drake May's performance, like we talked about last week, is the ball security. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the meme. He can't keep getting away with this. That's what other teams are thinking, because you can't keep getting away with putting the ball on the ground this many times and losing the turnover battle at times and win against good teams. You're seeing the difference from that regular season schedule to what is now becoming a defensive gauntlet in the playoffs for the Patriots. And so
Yeah.
4 fumbles is not acceptable.
No. No, I mean, of course, right? Except, we did win. One Will Campbell recovery at the 3-yard line away from losing this game, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
and we can talk about him. I got some thoughts on Will Campbell, but I've never played quarterback, and so I don't know. But I have to imagine that there is a reasonable middle ground, a medium between having no awareness of the rush around you when you're dropping back to pass and you're pump faking, and turtling to ghost pressure that isn't coming. Right? I don't want Drake May to do that and get sped up. But there's got to be some middle ground. I don't care if you hit the ground, if you throw the ball into the ground, if you throw it into the third row of section 125, just stop putting the ball on the ground. That's the only, it's the big complaint that I have. And I'm just afraid of it because this team is going to come after you too.
Fair, fair. I mean, listen, if we were going to talk about the offense.
I mean, there was
I
good
mean,
in the
there
quarterback
was
play.
good. No, but there was good, but that's not what this podcast is about, right? Of
But I
course
think
there was good. Of course there were
right.
amazing plays made. Diggs came through when he needed to. Booty making absolute catch of a lifetime. I mean, if we make it all the way to the Super Bowl, or look back at, I mean, if we win, that's a catch. That's a catch for Patriots history for the books, for
Yeah.
the
And
Hall
I
of
mean,
Fame.
In fairness to Drake, I still think like he largely did what he was supposed to do from like a target selection standpoint. He took his
Yeah.
short gains. He found Diggs and Douglas in the slot. We talked about waiting for your shot against man coverage. To your point, Booty, that touchdown was a dagger in that game. It was a relatively simple game plan that I think he handled pretty well when he wasn't on the ground or putting the ball on the ground.
Right.
I don't think he was necessarily accurate enough in those conditions, which was tough to start the game. But again, he finished the game strong in the second half.
So he's a nice Southern boy. We put him in the winter. Like, come on.
Yeah, I was worried about the weather. It didn't kill him. It did affect the accuracy, I think, a little bit. But he finished strong in the second half again. He made those key plays where he needed to. And like you said, there's 3 or 4 elite plays every single game with this quarterback, whether it's with his arm or his leg. So credit to
Yeah.
him there.
Yeah, no, he pulled through. But I mean, listen, those fumbles are unacceptable. Again, I agree with you on the game plan. I think they mostly ran it pretty tight. What I will say, and I was, I was expecting. I guess I was expecting more of a game plan tailored towards the Texans from McDaniels, but I guess we saw that, right? We saw them try to run screens incredibly unsuccessfully. They tried to run the ball with Henderson. I don't know why they did that. That was pointless. There's just no reason to give Henderson the ball between the tackles. I mean, I guess like really, I was expecting more. I was expecting more chip support for our god awful offensive line.
You talked about some of like the game plan stuff, so I'll touch on that. There was a lot that we discussed of things they might do in this game, and they tried a lot of them, right? To your point, they tried the screens, they got snuffed out. The screen game has been bad all year for this team. The first play of the game, they run a delayed handoff. My understanding, at least in football, is that the purpose of a delayed handoff is to take advantage of an aggressive front to catch them coming up and then, hitting a hole. It's the first play of the game. They haven't established any sort of pressure at that point. Why are you running a delayed handoff to start? May running, they tried that, wasn't successful. He fumbled one time. They tried more play action. That wasn't successful. They went to establish the run. They ran on first down at 76% rate. That didn't work. And it constantly put you in second and third and long against this defense, which was not good. And it ended up coming down to situational knockout blows, which we kind of expected. This game was going to be survive the slog and hit your shots. And that's what they did. As far as Will Campbell goes, he's getting dominated in these games. He got his ass kicked against the Chargers. He got his ass kicked against Houston. He's getting beat with power. He's getting beat with speed rush, and it's not going to cut it. They can't have him playing like this if they're going to win a Super Bowl. And I'm tired of hearing the narrative about it too. There's all these excuses for Will Campbell, but he's good against mediocre players. These are the best pass rushers in the league. Well, you know what? We have 2 games to win a Super Bowl. And I know you didn't plan on being here, but that's where you're at now. You were building something until now. Now you have a discrete 2-game window where immortality is at stake. A ring is on the table. We cannot wait around. He's the 4th pick in the draft, playing left tackle on the blind side of a young franchise quarterback. If he can't beat the good players, why is he on the field?
You're not wrong.
And trust me, Travion Henderson was dog shit with those chips. It provided no assistance, and it may have hurt him. But this team cannot afford to lose a Super Bowl because you can't do your job.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Vidarian Lowe is just sitting there waiting.
And I get it. You have to bifurcate the long term with the short term. I understand there's an argument. He's a young player. He has time. Let him mature. But to the point I made earlier, that's not this moment right now. This is now a 2-game window here where you can seize on an opportunity you may never get again with this group. It's not like this is some unforeseen thing with him. This is who he is. This is who he was as a draft prospect. I was told all winter, spring, and summer, you can't talk about his arms. Arms don't matter. The arm length, it's not a big deal. It's why power rushers can get their hands on his chest and push his ass back into the quarterback. It's why he can't regain his balance and latch on to defenders who get around an edge on him. It's not good enough. That's all I have
No.
on Will Campbell.
Break those elbows, get some limb extension surgery. Come on.
I mean, listen, I've maintained I thought he was a guard coming out. I think he's a guard long term. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. The people who cover this team don't want to talk about it because they don't want to piss people off, because they know Vrabel loves him, the organization loves him, and he seems like a great kid. But at the end of the day, he is limited, and I don't see it changing. Certainly not in the next 2 games. That said, Jared Wilson was much better in this game, and he even helped Will Campbell a bit.
That's great. Huge. We're gonna be, we played elite defenses. We will be playing elite defenses. There's no getting away from it, right?
It's not
Like,
going to get easier. This
no.
team you're playing now blitzes at a top 5 rate in the league. They're coming. The next team that you play, if it's the Seahawks or the Rams, Chargers, Houston, Denver, Rams, or Seahawks, those will be the 4 best defenses you play all year, and they're all going to be on a playoff run. So this is it. This is what it comes down to. The rest of the line was fine, in my opinion, in this game. Morgan Moses was great. He usually is.
Yeah, they ran it behind him a bunch of times, and it was great. Went well.
And it was typical Houston in that when I went back and looked at the pressure rate, it was actually really shockingly low in this game. It was the
Mm.
second lowest pressure rate according to next gen stats the Patriots have seen all year, which to me is sort of classic Houston in that it's not the amount of pressure, it's the quality of the pressure. And when they do pressure, they get there. And I think they were effective in that sense. And so on the positive side, everything from the right of Will Campbell blocked relatively well. On the negative side, they still got home and the quarterback was not aware enough to protect the ball. So to the point on sort of how you had to survive the slog and you had to take your shots, man coverage came up and the Patriots were really good against it. They survived the 5 sacks from Anderson and Hunter, and May had 3 touchdowns against man coverage, 7 for 10, 100 yards, 3 TDs, all against man. So they did what we asked them to do at the end of the day on offense. There's a fun statistic on Derek Stingley when facing, I don't know if you saw this online. Someone tweeted, I think it was Field Yates, Derek Stingley when facing targets of 20 plus air yards since 2024 versus Kayshon Boutte, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns against every other receiver, 34 targets, 2 receptions, 86 yards, 1 touchdown. Kayshon Boutte's got this guy's number. The rest of the league can't figure it out in man coverage deep, but Kayshon Boutte has Derek Stingley beat. So that was an
That's
interesting nugget
so
from the
funny.
game.
Like,
And
that's
then,
actually hilarious.
isn't it? I mean, he called his shot too. That he wasn't afraid of him, and then he went and did it again. So
Yeah.
to your earlier point, Stevenson was great, I think, in this game. It sucks that he got whatever happened with his eye munged up their plan in the run game. He was out for a little while. I don't know if he got pellets in his
But
eye or
he's
something,
been
but
excellent. He's been excellent.
he's been an animal. He's been exactly what you need out of a playoff bell cow back. He broke 6 tackles in this game. That was that final like 12 minutes. There was that drive. You're backed up against your own end zone with the lead. He ran it like 5 or 6 times straight and got you out of trouble. You ate 6 minutes on the clock in that drive.
Beautiful
Um,
drive.
yeah, and so it was timely plays. And listen, at the end of the day, 21 points plus a 6+ minute drive at the end of the game is solid work against that defense.
It's
So
a good off. That's it's the second most I think anyone put up on that offense, on that defense all year.
yeah, hard to ask for more than that beyond, I think, the left tackle play and the subsequent potential turnovers that resulted.
And yeah, listen, we can directly blame Will Campbell for at least one of May's fumbles, but he has to protect the ball better.
May has to be better, and I cushion my rant, my diatribe on Will Campbell that Drake May could be doing him favors as well. It's not
Yeah,
all Will Campbell, but it is
but one of them
consistent.
was all Will
Right.
Campbell. You got
Yes, and it's
want to
just
be
a
so clear.
consistency. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. So it doesn't cut it, but you performed against that defense relatively well. So, but that was not the best defense in this game, was it?
No, the best defense in this game. That title belongs to the Milton Williams, Christian Barmore led Patriots defense. The man-eating, C.J. Stroud haunting
Yeah, I mean, go up and
Patriots
down the
defense.
roster on the defensive side of the ball and
Chase
find a player who didn't make a play in that game. I mean, it was incredible. It was an entire unit that made plays in that game. And I was flat out wrong.
safeties, corners, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was flat out wrong about this defense being able to flip a switch in the playoffs. I didn't think they could do it. You listen to me talk about, listen, yeah, it's great. You're going to get Milton Williams back and you get Bob Spillane back. It's like, you're not going to be a great defense overnight again. Like, I just don't see it happening. And listen, it's happened. So credit to them. They've carried this team. They carried you in this game. The offense seized victory, which was nice. There was a complimentary element in that. Like, the offense won that game. Those plays, that the throw to Diggs on the one-on-one in the end zone, the throw to Booty, recognizing cover zero and Petrie coming down and hitting Douglas with outside the corner having outside leverage and getting him for 28 yards. That was seizing victory, but this defense carried them throughout yet again.
Absolutely. I mean, this defense scored 7 points. Like, what are we doing?
I thought Houston came out and they threw the ball way too much to start the game, which was surprising to me. That said, the Patriots stifled the run game.
Completely dominated their run game from the beginning at all points.
It was a 36% stuffed run rate this week for the Patriots. Their season average is 16. So they were way above their average for how they perform against the run. The Texans had 8 yards on 12 carries in the first half.
I will caveat this. The Texans have a very stuffable run game. They've had a very stuffable run game all season.
They have. But, to me, going into that game, I thought the number one key was stop the run. And I think because you stopped the run, it allowed you to go all out pressuring Stroud. Because they can't get any yardage on first down with the run, now he has to drop back and throw. Now he has to make plays. And so they finished with 2.2 yards per carry, and it really loosened up that front to go after Stroud, I think. And you got...
Yeah, and I mean, even in the run game, that's even another place where we made play. I mean, Gonzalez stripped it out.
Yeah, Davis flashed in the run games in spots too. Your defensive backs made plays in the run game. They went with a lot of 5-man fronts early in this game, which was interesting. It seemed like they made it a point that they wanted Houston's offensive line to have to block them one-on-one early on, and then they went after Stroud when they got in good down and distance. But they've done a lot of game planning, it seems, on these individual offensive lines and linemen with stunts and games, and it's been incredibly efficient and effective on their defensive line.
Kerr is really earning his defensive coordinator role.
Yeah, I agree. With all that said, though, this might have been the single worst performance I've ever seen out of a quarterback. And I wish it was hyperbole, but it really isn't. I mean,
it was bad.
Watching Stroud panic throw out of pressure into multiple defenders. I mean, it was write a textbook on how not to play quarterback in a big game. He wrote the textbook there.
I mean, from play one where he dirted the ball, like it was...
He didn't see guys who were open. He missed guys behind them. I think he might have torn his tight end's knee up, missing him so far behind him. He had a passer rating of 28. If he had just
spiked it, it's like 36, right?
Threw the ball into the ground 47 times, he would have had a 39.6. He hurt them actively in this game.
Wow.
His PFF grade, which I believe is out of 100, on clean pocket throws. These are throws with no pressure. 38.5. More than half of his attempts were not considered on target.
That's fucking crazy.
And then the Patriots just spun the dial on the pressure. They sent 3-man, 4-man, 5-man, 6-man, 7-man rushes. They sent linebackers. They sent corners. They sent safeties on the blitzes. And so, I mean, the combination they have going right now with the pressure up front and the coverage on the back end is lethal. You had 14 pass breakups in this game. And you need that back end support because when they blitz, the pressure rate was around 50% in this game. When they only rush 3 or 4, it's about half that, 25. So the pressure, I think, is predicated on the kind of coverage you have in the back end, which I think we thought might be something this team was capable of when the season started. And we're seeing it come to pass now. And then at the end of the game, once you had that lead after the Booty touchdown, I think they smartly sort of took their foot off the gas. They dropped into more too-high shell to sort of prevent a quick score from Houston and a comeback effort. And so that was tactically wise, in my opinion, as well. But, so many good individual performances on this defense. That strip that you mentioned, the fumble that Gonzalez caused, game-saving play there on defense. They're trying to score to, down 8, I think, to try to, tie the game again, potentially.
They were finally stringing together plays, too. Like, it was their breakthrough moment. And then Gonzalez said, nope, I want to get paid.
Carlton Davis, I mean, Carlton giveth, Carlton taketh away. That's sort of the experience with him.
His usual 3 penalties, but he also had 2 interceptions.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll take the playmaking and the 48 yards of penalties in a washout. I'll take the
The
two
Carlton
turnovers.
Davis
So
special.
yeah, so I'll take that. Ellis was good. He was flying around. I mean, Craig Woodson,
Tonga got a
Tonga
sack.
got his first sack of his career. Craig Woodson is a player who's like quickly becoming one of my favorites. When he is in the, I said it last week, when he's in the right spot, I also personally just love like a violent safety who plays with their
Yeah,
hair
like a
on
Rodney
fire.
Harrison type.
Yeah, yeah, and I like Jalen Petrie. I said last week, I like Craig Woodson. I like the nose for the ball. I love that play, the way that he plays. Chase on dominant again. The front in
Great game
general
from
was
Chase
great.
on.
I mean, the front was so good that they did things that don't even show up on the stat sheet. Like there's an example of a play that Milton Williams created, and that's the pick six by Marcus Jones. That play was created by Milton Williams. Milton Williams bench presses Arianti Ursary, the left tackle, so far back that he hits Harrison Bryant, who's the tight end coming across the formation from behind, knocks Harrison Bryant on his ass. Caleb on Chason is a free rusher. Ideally, I would imagine Bryant is either the guy picking him up or he's the dump off option for CJ Stroud. Well, he's gone. He's on the ground because Milton Williams bench pressed the left tackle into him. And of course, CJ Stroud, with Chason walloping him, throws it up into the air and it lands in the worst possible defender if you're a Houston Texan going the other way and Marcus Jones. So just an example of this unit working to like in cohesion and making plays that don't necessarily even show up that change the game. So I mean, what a performance.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
And one of the worst
I'm
plays you'll
so
ever see
happy.
out of a quarterback as well, on top of it. So he
Just
deserves
awful,
all
bro.
of the credit for his performance.
Terrible. And I also don't want to, I really want to give Marcus Jones his whatever the daisies.
Yeah,
He
give him the
making it
flowers.
into the end zone was huge.
Yeah, he almost got his head ripped off by that guy
Yeah, he
when he
did.
was
You
running into
goddamn
the end
right.
zone.
But it's just he's a special player, and I'm so glad he's on this team.
So,
Yeah, I have nothing but praise. I mean, just watching that game was such a classic Patriots experience. Really felt like we were back. Like watching the Chargers was awesome and all. It was great, but it was a lot of But this now I got it. We're the Patriots.
right, like I said earlier,
Larry.
this year was about building something. Until now.
No.
Now it's about this 2 game window. This is about
Yeah.
seizing an opportunity that, like I said, it may not come again. You just don't know. Mike Vrabel's been in one conference championship in his coaching career, you
Yeah.
know? So
No, no,
like
no. I mean, we have a much
Aaron
harder
Rodgers,
schedule next year. You
Aaron
never know.
Rodgers has been to two Super Bowls, I think. Two, right? He
Joe
won one. Did
Burrow's
he go
missed
to
the Super Bowl 3 seasons. He's missed the playoffs 2 seasons in
Josh
a
Allen's
row.
never been. Like, so that's what, like you just shout out Josh Allen for losing that game. Great, great work by him. Very happy about that as we will lead into the Broncos. But like you just can't take this opportunity for granted. It's all
Yeah.
about these 2 games now. And
Enjoy,
that
enjoy, enjoy President Bean.
yeah, he'll throw you under the bus next, Josh. Anybody to save his job, it appears. But
All right, let's talk about Denver. Let's
yeah,
talk about
let's
this upcoming team, this upcoming challenge.
yeah. So I
Let's
guess
talk about our prey.
yeah, I'll start with the offense. As usual, I still think the main event in this matchup is their defense against your offense, similar to the last 2 weeks. Their offense, I mean, one thing to note is this is the first time all year now that the pressure's on you. You are not the little engine that could for the first time all year. You're the favorite. You're the betting favorite. You're the prohibitive favorite. You have to beat a Jared Stidham led Broncos team.
You
You
have
have
to.
to.
We
We
can't
cannot
lose to
go
Jarrett
through
Stidham, dude. Like,
the
what are we
rest
talking
of
about?
Drake May's career saying, yeah, but what if they had just gotten past the Stidham Broncos his second year and he could have had a Super Bowl? We cannot live in that universe. You have to
No,
seize this
no, I
opportunity.
refuse to. I refuse to live in that universe.
So I would say that this offense, like this team generally was built to insulate the quarterback's effects. I think it's built along the offensive line. It's a very strong defense. I think in theory they'd like to have a really good running game. And then over time with Nick's success the last year or so, it's become more Nick-centric schematically as an offense. But I wouldn't consider this team quarterback centric, if that makes sense. So there are a lot of designed runs that Bo Nix they take advantage of with Bo Nix in this offense that I don't think are nearly as appealing with Jared Stidham at quarterback. Um, but this is a play caller in Sean Payton who will have his quarterback ready. He will have counter punches ready. He's going to have a plan. This is a major step up in offensive play caller that you're going against.
Yeah.
So I expect them to be ready nonetheless. To me, the goal, it sounds repetitive, but I firmly believe this in playoff football, especially when, and you haven't yet, with the exception of maybe Herbert, you haven't played one of these quarterbacks that puts a team on their back in this playoff and
Herbert.
can, like, right, Herbert's the closest thing, but you're not playing Allen, you're not playing Mahomes, you're not playing Jackson, like these guys who are
These
superstar.
guys aren't on the table anymore.
Right. And so with when you're playing guys who are much more limited, I want to stop the run. I want to make them one-dimensional because
Yeah.
it puts pressure on the quarterback in two ways. One, it allows you to literally unleash pressure because they're dropping back to pass way more if they can't run. And two, it puts pressure on that guy to have to make plays. Like he now has to be a reason why that offense moves and scores points. And I want that pressure on a guy who hasn't played an NFL game in 2 years. I want that pressure on Jared Stidham. So to me, it starts, and if they get J.K. Dobbins back, even more so, starts with stopping the run. They're a pretty middle of the pack average run team statistically over the course of the season. That would be the big goal to me. Now,
No, I hear you.
what scares me in contrast with this defense versus the last two with this offense compared to the last two offenses you've played is the Patriots have clearly had a very good read on these quarterback offensive coordinator combos. And so they've known that they can get after these quarterbacks, these being Herbert and Stroud, with a ton of pressure because their offensive lines would fold. The Chargers, as we noted, the worst offensive line in football. Houston, pretty mediocre and dealing with injuries. And they had offensive coordinators that weren't capable of providing their quarterback with answers. Nick Caley and Greg Roman, not good enough.
Yeah.
This is a different beast. You are going to play the best offensive line you've played all year, if not number two. At worst, they're number two behind Buffalo. They're number one in lowest sack rate in the league. They're number two in the lowest pressure rate in the league. And as I said with the play caller, this is a guy who will have counter punches. He will have answers. And so where your defensive approach has been so predicated on face melting pressure and back end coverage, I'm interested to see how the coverage and the pressure or the front plays when the offensive line doesn't have as much give in it. It's going to be a really different beast that you're coming against with this defensive scheme. And so more so even than last week, I'm really interested to see what carries over from the defensive approach from the last 2 weeks to this one.
Yeah. What I'm curious to see. Well, one, praying that Carlton Davis makes it back. I want to be so clear about that.
Yeah,
On
he's
the
in
starting
concussion
defense.
protocol. We're hoping
But
that
he
it's
played today.
similar
He
to
played today. He
Gonzalez,
played
right?
today. Yeah. He played today. Seems like he's on the same timeline. I would like to see the same performance that we had against the Texans. That would be great.
Of course, and it's certainly
But I'm
possible.
also curious just to see what how we approach it differently. I think that's been one of the more interesting things for me in this playoffs is just how different our approach has been from team to team.
Yeah,
I
and I
think this is
agree
a
with you.
big
I think
Zach Kerr game.
yeah, this is the most intriguing matchup for this defense yet for those reasons because of the play caller, because of the offensive line. I think Stidham is going to have to do a little bit more than manage the game to win this one.
He
I
has
think
to. Yeah.
it's a tough line to toe because his primary goal is don't actively lose the game, given his station in the league and his inexperience lately. He hasn't played in 2 years, and so but like they're going to have to score more than 20 points. I think you can roll out of bed and score 21 points as an offense against anyone in the league, and so absent like a defensive touchdown or a bunch of turnovers by the Patriots offense, like Stidham's gonna have to make some plays. It'll be interesting to see how they get it open. I would imagine they're going to put him on the move a little bit. So, he's not the most athletic, but some moving pockets, some play action, some boot action, maybe like half field sort of high low read. If one of those isn't there, throw it away or run. Very simple stuff. Just to be able to continue to move the ball and then play some games with matchups with their wide receivers. A guy I love is Lil Jordan Humphrey. I loved him when he was here in training camp a couple of years back. He's like just a little niche player that I think is good. They've made use out of him. He had a big touchdown against Buffalo. Watching to see if some of those bigger body guys like him or Cortland Sutton, if they try to put him on Marcus Jones. We saw Marcus Jones give up a touchdown where he sort of got boxed out by Christian Kirk. Obviously, there were the struggles earlier in the year with a guy like Drake London. So that could be a matchup they might try to exploit.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I don't know. I just want us to win, dude. Is that too much to ask? That's
No,
too
it's not.
much?
No, I think that's what you're supposed to ask at this point because
Oh,
you
okay,
should.
cool, 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 cool,
Yeah,
cool, cool,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. You're good. You're good. I'll let Mike know. Vrabel, not you.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so what about this offense? What do we need to do? Tell me what Josh
So
McDaniels is going to do.
yeah, so first you have Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator here. He's getting with Denver. He's getting a lot of interviews for head coaching jobs. He is a disciple of Vic Fangio. And so the Fangio defense is sort of it's mostly run out of base nickel. It's zone heavy. They, like Houston, like to keep everything in front of them. Fangio is more like muddled looks out of coverage in the middle of the field pre-snap, and he prefers like a lighter player, lighter, faster guys at the second level rather than bigger bodies. So he disguises coverages. Vance Joseph isn't so much a coverage disguise guy. They are in the bottom five of disguise coverage usage pre-snap, but he does like to disguise his fronts. He gets very aggressive with how he uses his defensive fronts. He likes to muddle those before snap, which can cause some issues setting the pass protection. And so he's more aggressive than a typical Fangio defense, and he also plays way more man coverage, which is something that's of note with this Broncos team. You will see primarily zone. They are in cover three or cover four, a combined about 40% of the time. But you're going to see a lot of cover one. You're going to see it more than you would have seen it out of the Chargers and more than you would have seen it out of Houston. They play the fourth highest rate of cover one as a single coverage. It's the coverage they play most significantly. Between cover one and cover three, that's single high safety more than 50% of the time. So they're going to have a ton of single high safety coverage against you in this game. In terms of coverages, though, they really balanced in sort of how they deploy their scheme compared to the rest of the league. They don't favor things too heavily. You will see cover one, cover two, cover three, four, six, zero. They have the fourth highest rate of cover zero, which is sort of sending the house all out blitz man coverage on the back end. So, like I said with the disguise, I think they're gonna do more disguise in this game. I think they gotta
Yeah.
confuse Drake May and the passing lanes. I think they have to muddle things in their looks and their zones. The teams that gave you a lot more issues consistently, Baltimore, Buffalo, the Chargers, those are all top six teams in terms of a disguise coverage usage rate. I expect more of it in this game, even though it's not something that he typically does. They trust their corners on an island. They play a lot, like I said, they play a lot of cover one, a lot of man free, and they rightfully so. Patrick Surtain is the best man cover corner in the NFL. I don't know if they're going to keep him on one side and maybe he's with Booty. I don't know if they have him follow Diggs. Typically, if they have him follow guys, it's the elite of the elite. I don't know if they consider Diggs that kind of guy. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. And they're in the bottom of the league in explosive plays surrendered in cover one. So when you look at them, I'll touch on them versus Houston, I guess, in terms of coverage in a minute. But their front, they either will go with two down defensive linemen, sometimes three down defensive linemen, and then they have two stand-up linebackers on the edge. So you'll
Oh,
see either
interesting.
four or five man fronts most of the time. They're sort of like they'll have Nick Bonito is their big star pass rusher on the edge. Will Campbell will be getting very acquainted with him. He's more of a speed guy than a power guy, but he's second in the
Yeah.
league in sacks. So he's highly productive. And then you have Zach
Wow.
Allen on the interior, who led the team in quarterback pressures. So they can move him around along the interior, similar to Milton Williams in a sense. They're also their top 10 run defense, and so they present a lot of challenges.
So how do you beat them, Dave? How do you beat this defense?
Yeah, I mean, so if their goal is, I think their goal is to use diverse coverages and fronts out of similar personnel groupings to keep you uncomfortable while forcing you to keep everything in front of them. That's sort of their goal, right? In this game, I like your ability to throw against this defense better than Houston, especially against their zones. To me, it's almost sort of the opposite of Houston in a way. Like they're both goals, their goals are to keep everything in front of them. But you should be able to move the ball better short and intermediate against them, but the deep shot against man isn't going to be there like with Houston. I think Houston is more disciplined in keeping things in front of them, whereas Denver plays more aggressive, short and middle. They blitz a lot, so that vacates a lot of space short and in the middle of the field. Their zones, I think their defensive players are not all that great at times. Alec Singleton is the name to watch, in my opinion. He's an off-ball linebacker, number 49. I think he gets caught in a lot of traffic in zone coverage, and he and Hofanga, who is the safety, he's a playmaker. You'll see him all over the field. They'll have him at deep safety. They'll bring him down as a pseudo linebacker. They'll blitz with him. He'll be out in outside corner once in a while. but he's a very aggressive player, and so he will overrun things. And between those two in the middle of the field, I think you have an opportunity to attack. This is all, of course, predicated on surviving their pass rush because
Right.
they are by far the number one sack team in the league. They are a top five sack or blitz rate team in the league. And so, but they're aggressive, and I think that aggression can work against them. In terms of parts of the field, it's intermediate passing against this Denver defense. So if you look at like regular season and postseason combined EPA per pass, overall, I want to compare them to Houston so you get a sense of strengths and weaknesses as I sort of see these two defenses. Houston, number one overall, Denver, number nine. On deep passes, Houston 11th, Denver 2nd. So Denver clearly better than Houston defending the deep ball. Short, Houston number 1, Denver number 11. And intermediate, Houston 12, Denver 26th in EPA per pass attempt.
Hmm.
So to me, there is a clear weakness that didn't exist with Houston in Denver going intermediate and short. So short yardage, below 10 yards, intermediate 10 to 20 yards. They're also, because they're in single high safety so often, they're susceptible to sort of these deep crossers, everything sort of across the middle of the field. And so I think that's against their zones, that's where you're going to have to attack. That's the area of attack in this game, is the middle of the field.
All right. I mean, should I forward this to Josh McDaniels or?
And you're also not going to beat them outside. So like, Houston, you took your shot outside and deep. Houston was 8th in EPA per pass surrendered on outside when the target was lined up outside. Denver's
Yeah.
5th. On tight targets, Houston was 3rd, Denver's 15th. On slot targets, Houston's 4th, Denver's 17th. So your ability to
So they're not
target
as
them,
good.
they're not as good. This is sort of I guess my central thesis is
Yeah.
they're not as good at at executing the goal of keeping everything in front of them at the short and intermediate levels because they're aggressive up front and they can overrun their coverage in zone in the middle of the field and they're a little sloppy in their zones in the middle of the field. Whereas Houston is incredibly disciplined. They quite literally will not let anything short or intermediate get by them. Now, their weakness was on the back end. You could take them over the top, and that's what the Patriots did. That is where Denver's strength lies. They're not going to allow that. So that's where they're sort of the same, but opposite, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
I wish that Mac Hollins were ready to go for this game because I think he'd feast given that sort of opportunity in the middle and the intermediate and against zone defense. I think he really would have been a weapon in this game, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be back yet.
I does
We're
not
recording
does
this
not.
Wednesday. He wasn't activated. I don't think you're going to see him on 1 or 2 days practice.
No, I doubt it. But, if and when we reach the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's still a chance. The other thing too, like with this defense, um, I think the fact that they blitz so much can work to your advantage. This quarterback is worlds better on blitz downs than non-blitz pressure downs by every conceivable metric. I mean, we've known this, that Drake May kills the blitz this year. And they blitz at a rate that's unlike Houston or the Chargers. And so, he's thrown 10 interceptions this year. None of them have come against the blitz. Last week against Houston, when they did blitz him, 2 for 5, 34 yards, a touchdown, and 1 sack. Pretty decent numbers against the blitz, all things considered. But Will Campbell's going to need help because they're going to be coming and they're going to come in numbers and in waves. And it's going to be a different kind of rush, but it's going to be a relentless rush nonetheless.
Yeah. No,
I
fair enough.
watched, I tried to watch as much of the Buffalo game and the New York Giants game in terms of passing offense because the Giants scored 32 points against them and Buffalo beat them. Or no, sorry, Buffalo lost them, but scored 30 points as well. Sorry, they beat Buffalo, obviously. That's why we're talking about them.
Good times.
Um, yeah, but like when they're in cover three, a lot of success with the tight ends and in intermediate, a lot of success with crossers, the running backs short in the middle of the field against zone. And they're susceptible to yards after catch, in my opinion, on some of the film. Like Buffalo got a lot of yak. Jacksonville, who beat them, had success getting yards after the catch, as well as New York. Because like I said, you can catch them over pursuing and getting out of position. So listen, the Bills put up 30 points against this defense with bad receivers and Josh Allen turning the ball over 4 times and his running back fumbled. So, I think you can score on this defense. And like I said, I like your ability to score on this defense better than I do Houston's. That might be a hot take, and I might get proven incorrect because of the blitz, but I'm betting on Drake May as he normally does, surviving the blitz, protecting the ball better in this game, and seizing on those opportunities in the middle of the field. So go Pat. I'm taking the
I mean,
Pats.
you just got to go win it. I mean, of course you're taking the pass. Of course we're all taking the pass. What was this even a question? No, I'm betting my entire net worth on the New England Patriots. Thank you, Kalshi.
Not in Massachusetts. It's now going to be
Not in
illegal.
Massachusetts. Great, it's gonna be a crazy game, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've watched a bit of Denver this year. From what I've seen, great defense. I don't trust Bo Nix, so for me, like I said in the beginning, nothing's changed. I think at the end of the day, we're just gonna. I think this is gonna be. I think I would like to see. I want to see a game where May puts the team on his back, and we bench him in the fourth. Like I'd like a blowout. I want to get back on this podcast next week and say, wow, the best player on the field of any team was Drake May. He won
Yeah.
that game. He was dominant in that game. Shades of Brady in that game. That's what I want. I
Yeah.
will
I want
take
to.
a 1-point victory.
Yeah, I don't care how it's done. It's all about winning the game. It's all about winning a championship. I don't care about the aesthetics. I don't care about the game flow.
The
But I would
schedule.
Yeah, I would tell you that similarly, like the best case scenario to me is a game in which Drake May asserts himself, doesn't turn the ball over, like you said, sort of leads the offensive charge. And I hope Will Campbell puts me on my knees this week and shows me that I'm wrong. Like I hope
Yeah.
that he comes
Yeah.
out and he holds his own and keeps May clean. I don't think he's going to do it. But I hope he does, and I hope he proves me wrong. But that would be the best case scenario. They
Yeah.
survive the blitz and Drake May leads this team on offense. But just win the game. I don't care how it looks. Just do it.
Just win the
Just
game. I don't
or the
want,
Super Bowl.
yeah. We're not going to do fuck the
Immortality is at
Jets. We're
stake.
not going to do fuck the Jets this week. I want to reserve that for the Buffalo Bills. Let's not be the Bills. Fuck the Bills.
Yeah, let's not lose to this Denver team. Like, I
Let's
mean,
not lose to this Denver
I
team.
know I said at the top, like, take this Denver team seriously and everything, but we have to acknowledge that Saturday could not have worked out any better for this Patriots team. You could not write a better script than Josh Allen and the Bills eliminating themselves, and then the Denver quarterback getting hurt once, like when the victory is basically sealed, like second to last play of the game, and now unavailable. I mean, you couldn't write it up better, but it doesn't mean you still don't
Horseshoe.
have to go and do your job. Yeah, horseshoe up your
Horseshoe up our
ass.
ass. Horseshoe up our ass. All right, Dave. Hold me tight. Let's do this.
All right, let's go to a Super Bowl, huh?
Let's go win a Super Bowl. Cheers.
Amen. Go Pats.
Amen. Go Pats.